Hello there, everybody. I figured since I've seen, I was just watching a video on someone struggling a bit, I figured I should make a real quick tutorial and roughly on how things work here at these new yards. Um, so I guess we're gonna do a really fast tour of everything. Now, this is going off of track maps that I have, the IRL, the real life track maps, and then information I've gotten from real railroaders and stuff I've just inferred, and there's some things that have been changed a bit because it's a game. I'm currently also in the middle of a, probably should stop here, middle of working on a private save here, but okay, so we're up here at the north end of the yard. So this is what everyone, so basically, I guess I should start over. So basically, we cut, you can see where the scenery cut. So this was where the curve was. So, and then there will be more updates later. This is going to be way down the line that do the north end. So this way is north. That's Wind Place up there. We're coming down here to Cincinnati. Here we got Coleraine, which is the NAS signals, the north absolute signals. So you got the Coleraine. Looking north again at Coleraine. The track on the left here is the CSX main number 1, CSX main number 2, and then the NS number 3, or main 3. Okay, so coming into here, this is RH West. This track over here, this is the bypass. This track will run all the way down to A Street on the CSX. You got the with an intermediate there. The track in the innard is the arrival leads. So you got in real life there's 3 of them, but on the right here is a R1. No, what's it called? Yeah, R1N. So the north receiving 1 track and north receiving 2. And then this track is the engine track leads. In real life, they call it the West Open. I have my track map up next to me. So yeah, and I've added these fantasy crossovers and stuff so you can actually park trains. So if you wanted to use one track for the northbound arrivals and then the other track for southbound arrivals, you can kind of switch over depending on how you do things. Do all this. So then here's more receiving tracks. So you got, of course, the R1 South, R1, R2 South, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, what? Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. How many is there? 8. Do I have more than they do in real life? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, we do have more than real life. All right, 8 and 9, 10. So I guess we have 10. Cool. So we got extra space there. Well, this is shorter than it is in real life, so more tracks will help. So this is all receiving. This is the connection out to the Indiana sub, which goes along the Ohio River. That way, westbound, it hasn't been added yet. That connection there is industrial spurs and stuff that go across. There's a diamond right in here somewhere and go out that way. Those may be added later. To the right there, that's all NS. That's Norfolk Southern's Guest Street, except for way back there. It's good. This little tutorial's not scripted, so it's gonna be all over the place. So yeah, the left track there is the bypass, like I mentioned. There's the intermediate way down there. So then all of that's arriving, receiving. Of course, you got the hump, which the hump does work. Now, not fully. It's not fully functional. You can adjust. Here, I guess we can go ahead and teleport in there. Tower South. So right now, since we don't have the industry system in yet, the industry system is awaiting brand new spawning system, which is a bit of a pain in the butt to make, so it's going to be a while. Especially since I'm the only programmer here, and I also have lots of map work and other things to do. So by default, the hump is turned off. So you need to make sure to click it to turn it on, which green means it's on. I'm pretty sure game-wise, your train needs to be going less than 4.5 miles per hour for the hump to decouple it automatically. So you can go slow if you want, but max, I would just say a good reference was a maximum of 4 miles per hour. Depending on how laggy your machine is or the server is, you might need to go slower. This black, transparent, semi-transparent part here is the decoupler. Basically, as long as the hump is on, You just back your trains up under 4 miles an hour, and it will do the rest. It will do the magic after that, as long as it's on. If it's off, then everything on this, basically everything in the hump is disabled. All the code's disabled, so you can throw the hand throws and do everything all you want. When the cars go down, they'll decouple, and right around here there is an invisible block. If you use the F3X tool in private servers, you can see that there's invisible blocks. Do not mess with those. If you mess with those, you will break it. Those are the sensors for the cars and stuff. So if you move them or delete them accidentally with F3X, you're kind of screwed. You're going to have to restart your server. Basically, when the hump's on, the car decouples, it hits that, and the car becomes its own locomotive. The hump is physics-based, so if you have a lower-end machine or internet connection or the server's lagging, don't push up massive cuts of cars at a time. So don't be like stretched out all the way down there pushing 100 cars at once. Don't do that, because then you're going to run into either issues up here at the top where cars are phasing into each other or recoupling, or they're phasing into each other down at the bottom. Currently, the hump is coded so that the person standing closest to this button right here, this little green brick, will have the physics upon getting that pusher. So when the cars are pushed down, auto sorted, assuming the hump is on. So make sure to leave the hump is on until everything passes, everything stopped moving. Because if you turn it off, then it's going to stop doing its thing. But since the industry system is not in, it is sorted by car type, as you can see. Everything is default, so auto racks are on the left and box cars, and then the 80-foot, 86-foot, or whatever box are the auto parts cars. Center beams, it's alphabetical order. And coil cars, and then I forget what goes there. Oh, the coke hoppers. And then, goes down. You can see this if you walk in here. So if anyone's played Run 8, this is going to be somewhat similar, except Run 8 doesn't have this. Do not touch this, as it won't do anything. It might even break it. I can't remember 100%. But don't touch this. There's a note saying until the industry system is added, not all this is functional. So here's all your yard tracks. B01 is the far left when looking north. The car shops is on the right, so you can see B30. B29 is missing. That is the it's not overflow. It does not have the ability to detect overflow. It's I can't find what track this is supposed to go track is what track 29. So if your filter doesn't have anything, so if I got rid of everything in here and just left auto rack, then everything but auto racks would go to B29, so track 29. You can change these. You basically click. Let's say we'll just put like yeet on 28, so we can do yeet, enter, and it will refresh, and then there. So as of right now, it won't really do much because there's no car folder called yeet. If you want to know a little bit of how the game's working, these categories, which are at B21, are all of the and above, are all of the categories that I have set up in the game for the random train spawning script at the beginning of the game. It's supposed to be a back-end thing. It was never supposed to be visible for you guys. So some of it's whack. So like all of our extras, everything that doesn't fit in the rest of these goes in MOW from a game standpoint. So if you don't know what it's going into, it's going to go in MOW, basically, for the freight cars. The unfortunate thing is that since you guys don't have, you're going to have to make sure, if you're going to edit this and change stuff, write down all the names of everything, because they need to be identical. Even capital letters, it needs to be identical to how it's spelled out in here. No spaces and all that. As you can see, the B22, B23, that's for tracks. That's just placeholders from a codes thing. And then these the L and the Y, these local symbols here in the car shops are actually leftovers from the industry system when this was set up for the industry system in the dev build, before I switched it to be temporarily the car type sorting. So you can see a little remnants of L425 and Y227, 127, 121. You can see all those. But as you can see, auto, box, long, center beam. You got the auto racks, the box cars, as I said, auto parts go, and the center beams. coil cars, and it will all line up. You can change it. It does not save your config at the moment. Later on, I will be adding the ability, probably after the industry system is added and everything's running pretty smooth. I will add, or I plan to add, an ability to save your different configs as different save files. So all you have to do is load in the game. The next time you run the hump, you just hit click save, and wow, you have your custom configuration, in which the car shops have their own little track here, so that with the industry system, you can tag the cars as faulty, and bam, assuming it's not a something that prohibits you from throwing it down the hump. So then there's the Queensgate car shops. The locomotive shops will be replaced with the old model. Not, well, the old model, quote unquote. This is technically the old model, but the model that you guys got used to in the yard will be coming back, edited a bit, but it will be coming back eventually, probably the next week or two. So yeah, so the yard standpoint, here's the big bull. These tracks over here are the departure tracks, except for right here. These two tracks right here are the NS leads. So you got the West Valley and the East Valley tracks, that's what the railroad calls them. And then the rest of these are departure tracks. So again, the bull's right over there. Car shops, departure tracks, NS, and then the main lines. And then the far left there is the CSX intermodal ramp lead. I know it's confusing. You're just going to have to play it and get used to it. And if you want help, it is very similar to real life. So if you want to look up Cincinnati, Ohio on Google Maps, find the yards. They are on the west side of town, right next. Or you can look up the Cincinnati Museum Center or Cincinnati Union Terminal. That is where we are. So like there's a teleport for CUT Tower A. Some of us locals use the acronym of CUT, Cincinnati Union Terminal, or you can say CUT, however you want to play the game. But that big domed building over there is Cincinnati Union Terminal, which is only nowadays the one platform for Amtrak's Cardinal service. Back in the day, all of that was basically passenger terminals, the glory days of passenger trains, but all that's long gone. But yeah, so this is Hopple Street again. So then, according to my maps, this here on the right. What do they call it? The support yard, or in my mind is the storage yard, because the deadline is over here. You can fly in on Google Maps and see the deadline and all that. And then I&O. I've seen I&O in here. I don't know exactly how they interchange, but I'd assume they interchange within here. These stub end tracks here are the TransFlow, so you're directly from freight car to truck facility right here. So you'll recognize this from the old game, that like concrete pad thing with the stub ends. That's what this is. This is the trim yard / key departure is what it's labeled as. So your trim storage. So like right here, we got a trim set, or as in this save, we have a heck ton of boxcars, which we had all the stuff pulled out of Queensgate in a massive humble jumble, which we still have to pull down. And we've just started slowly sorting things. So some storage, and there's more storage. So you can play that how you want, but this is the forwarding. And then like in real life, they have a rail train sitting right here on the Google Maps snippet. So you can park one there if you want. Currently, the spawn location is right here. We'll probably change at some point as we get more buildings. I have to figure out exactly where I want to do it. But for right now, we have it there. This is RH Tower. All the control points should have one of these signal boxes now. So again, that's facing north. Hopple Street, you got the, so that's the CSX intermodal ramp right there. It goes underneath the station / museum center, which that actually right there is the IMAX theater. There's an IMAX theater right there, so the trains go right underneath it. Yeah, so then that's Tower A. Before we leave, everything here in the middle is Guest Street. This is all Norfolk Southern. It is a humble mess. Honestly, the only reason I have an inkling of how this works is because I had to look at Google Maps and build it. And I have built Guest Street for this. This version of Guest Street took 3 attempts to make. And it's okay. It's all right. But here, this track right here that splits the road and this pad thing, this is, from what I can tell, used for piggyback. That's what I can tell, I think is what it's used. Or you got a little engine storage track for the pig yard. You got the pig yard slash intermodal ramp, whatever you want to call it. NS has it labeled as the pig yard. Out here is storage and stuff. The outer track here, they use almost like as I personally refer to it as the pig bypass. Hold on, let me check what NS calls it. Let me flip in my binder to my guest street yard maps. Okay, they don't really call it anything. It's just PY09 in the pigtail. So I call it the pig yard bypass. If you look at, there's a rail cam. So just look up Cincinnati rail cam, and it's sitting like right up in here, and you'll see the trains. Basically, what they do for the crew changes, they'll pull along this track. It's like a bypass or whatever, and they'll pull all the way up to Popple Street or whatever, do their crew changes, or they'll pull down to. I don't know what this control point right here is called. I just called it the kind of like the pig yard signals. I can't remember, or I can't remember what I called it. So this is Tower A. So that's CSX right there. This is NS. This is A Street on the NS. That is A Street on the CSX. I know, confusing. So that's at north end of Yard 2. In real life, it's a little bit different. A lot different. It's more of a little bit of a yard, but constraints with curves and elevation changes because we had to make sure that the freaking trains could fit underneath the bridge. So, so this is, down here is Yard 2, even though it doesn't look like a yard. That's what it's called, Yard 2. So yeah, there's industry in here. There's an industry right there, and there's an industry right there on the NS. I don't know if this one's served. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that lumber industry right there is served. Those are like rip tracks. The mechanical department. So yeah, that's all of Guest Street in the middle. So yeah, so basically it's everything CSX except for the middle is NS. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and follow the CSX first, and then we'll do the NS. So we'll follow us. This is B&O Junction. The basically most of the through trains and the I train will take the bridge through Tower A through here, and then to get to the bypass, which is another option for through trains, and then anything arriving and departing the south end of the yard, the Queensgate Yard, will go down through Yard 2 and A Street into receiving or the bypass. And then here's your departure leads on the south end. So then those trains would come out this way, go south. That's B&O Junction. If you're ever wondering, it's right now the bridge sections, or most of them, are part of the scenery culling. So give it a minute. There you go. It pops in. If you want to know speed limits, the sign should be up, but basically anywhere that there's these exposed bridge pieces without like the railings, it's 10 miles an hour. Like this whole CSX bridge is 10 miles an hour if you want to follow it realistic. This is OB cabin. Yes, the signals are like this in real life. And then you got OB cabin. This is KC Junction. When I mentioned the Cincinnati rail cam, if you look that up, you'll probably see the new VRF camera, Covington, Kentucky. It is right here. From what I can tell, it's sitting right here on this warehouse. It looks this way. And then there's your north camera. So it sits right in here. KC Junction going left. That is going eastbound. I can't remember where it goes, but it follows the Ohio River. It is the Cincinnati subdivision. Pretty sure what it's called. In the game, it doesn't go very far. Just a spawner and a loop. And that's the direction Amtrak goes. So anyone who likes it running Amtrak, you go that way. And then your stop's at Cincinnati and Connorsville, and that's it. Glendale is not a passenger station, not anymore. And then we're keep going south. We're still on the Cincinnati terminal. We got the tunnel. Ignore my reused assets. It looks all right, honestly. That's why I kept it. It looks okay. And then we got Latonia. The dispatcher's board has them labeled as 30th Street and something else down there, even though everything is called Latonia. Kind of. The timetable that I have, the only timetable that I have for the LCL is from 2005, and it labels, actually no, and the Cincinnati terminal or whatever, they label these as different than Latonia over there, but or we kind of just called it Latonia for control point to be easy, but the dispatcher board will show them as different things. The north end Latonia, south end Latonia, and the Latonia Y over there. That right there, don't you basically can pretend this doesn't exist. In real life, this goes and connects to the CD, the Cincinnati subdivision. Oh. And then going south, DeCourcy. C6 is DeCourcy Yard and Progress Rail are down here. This is the CC. Can't remember what it stands for. Oh, someone started spawning something in and it is floating. Interesting. Again, this is a save with friends. And there's kind of stuff that's littered around. And I was working and while listening to the video I mentioned at the beginning of the video in the background while I was working in the yard, and I was like, oh, I probably should make this video real quick, which is probably getting lengthy. Oh yeah, it's already 20 minutes in, but we've already done the yard stuff. So if you want to hear more about the actual main lines, then keep listening. If you want to just learn about the yard, then go for it. So yeah, so this is the north end of Latonia siding. This is the Railway Museum of Greater Cincinnati or something like that. In the game, it's a teleport in the other section, category, whatever, filter, or whatever you want to call it, called just Cincy Railway Museum, just to be short. In real life, it's got a bunch of old equipment and stuff. But since we don't have models of all that, I feels like, hey, what if we just use old row scale models? Because it's technically a museum, because they're not being used anyways. So you can actually come on in here, and let me teleport over here. I like this. I mean, it only took me a minute, and there's probably typos on some of these. Because I kind of was like, all right, I need to get this done. I need to get everything else done. But you can come up in here and click on the stands and give you a little bit of information. Like, as far as I'm aware, this is the first ever 6-axle diesel locomotive in row scale right here for A&G Classic, and is also used in like every single A&G game here. We got a locomotive from Newbridge. This is the first ever custom, quote-unquote custom locomotive for A&G. It's just the standard coal mine MP15 with green ash paint, but it's labeled as A&G because that's how old this is. We got, of course, the 2 years of service green ash caboose. We got the genset. I would love to have a modern version of this because I love these things. 2001 and 2002. They're no longer around here anymore, but they used to be. I used to see them all the time. A personal connection. These are fantasy locomotives. Same with all that. This whole track right in here is fantasy. We've got, of course, the SD40-2s that were replaced. This was made by Grand Trunk Western, or Nathan, however you want to call him. Of course, you got the A&G passenger cars that everyone knows. Riverside Subdivision, yes, an unreleased game. Only OG people in the know would recognize this name. Of course, you had to have the snowblower, because what kind of museum doesn't have a snowblower? One interesting, and then the A&G, well, not really A&G signals, but because these are free models, like 6-stud signals that I scaled down and recoded for row scale. The one whack thing to note here, to keep in mind, is that this signal, and this signal alone that's in the game, at least as far as I'm aware, uses C&O rules, so Chesapeake and Ohio rules. So it's really weird. So if you're someone who knows signals and you to come up across this and you're like, what the? So that's how it is in real life. So that's how it is in the game. So don't try not to be confused by this. This one might need to pull out the rule book for. And then you got the South End Latonia, that's North End Nicholas, and South End Nicholas, and then the block signals are missing on here because I have no idea where they are. I'll figure those out later. I was like, I just want to get this out. I've been sitting on this map stuff for like half a year now. There you go, North End Banklick, South End Banklick. We do have that block signal in right there because I accidentally came across it on Google Maps, and I was like, well, I guess I'll add it when I can. And then the next thing is we, after that, at that block signal, we skip. We skip a long, long way to LaGrange, Kentucky. So you got the LaGrange sighting there, north on LaGrange, south on LaGrange. And then street running, we haven't added any buildings in here yet. You got the street running, and then another skip to Williams Holdout, which is only the northbound facing signal. So the SAS signal. so that basically I added this here so that people coming off the spawner or the loop don't have to pull up all the way up through Lagrange to get a signal and from the dispatcher. They can sit back here so that if we have a rail cam at Lagrange, which is another VRF camera location, it sits up in here, I think, or something. I don't know exactly. I think it sits up in here or back because it looks at that road. So yeah, so that you're not sitting in blocking traffic or anything or in the town. So there's that. I guess we'll go over to the NS real quick. We'll just teleport to Ludlow real quick. And then, of course, we're back here at Guest Street. Coming down and got this signal right here is an intermediate. The rest are dispatcher controlled. So you come across here. This is the Ohio River for anyone who hasn't looked at Google Maps. So that is Kentucky. That is Ohio. Here we go. We got Ludlow. So most of this NS stuff is familiar. Well, at least the control points are familiar to players as they were in the game, just with no scene or anything. There is a yard here with some industries. I haven't built them yet because it's on an incline. And building on an incline is not fun. I will add them as I get around to working on them. There are still industries missing on the NS as well. Industry parks that I haven't added. Got lovely Southern Caboose. If anyone who watches Jawtooth has probably seen this Ludlow viewing platform because Jawtooth rail fans around here. Around here in Cincy. And then you got intermediates going up the hill. There you go. We got Corby. Kind of like a holdout. Oh yes, foam power. That is Erlanger. I guess we can just teleport over there since it's so long. Got Erlanger. Now, the NS is a lot closer to scale than a lot of the game. The CNOTP here. So you got Erlanger, whereas what you guys were used to is that this was also a stand, just two-headed. So that the loop was right here is when the game was. So there you go. I gotta add. As you can see, I started added scenery like 2 months ago. You can see some of the roads dragged off to the side. Because I started terraforming everything, and I was like, oh, I need to get this update out, so I just put the grass back. And I was like, okay, we'll do this later. So that, of course, scenery will come eventually. Rice, that is called Rice. That's where it goes single track. And then again, you can see the switches for some industries. More industries over here. So these all go down, more industries. It's a bunch of industries, and there's like 3 intermediates. And then it keeps going, and it goes back over the LCL like it does in real life. And then there's the Brock, not siding, it's table track, as I was corrected by an NS worker who runs on here. Because I called it Brock to siding. And he's like, it's not a siding, it's double track. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's where our loop is on the NS. So that's all the new track. I guess a short recap. Here at Cincinnati, the things in the middle is NS. The things on the outsides is CSX. So, yeah, so again, A Street. Oh, I guess I can show the dispatcher because they were kind of struggling. It is confusing, I know. Okay, so Coleraine, RH Tower are these 6 plus these 2. These are RH Tower. RH West is that dwarf at RH West is right there. So that's the trim yard right there. And then there's your RH West. So the top part is your arrival track. So there's your south end, R1, R2, and then R1, R2, and then the west open. That's the lead to the engine shops. And then, of course, the bypass on the bottom. That is your block signal. That's what the gaps are. Well, that's not a block signal. That's a gap in sensors and stuff. So yeah, there's your arrivals. That is the bottom bit of the arrivals that are not dispatcher controlled. The R1 and R2 are, but that's the part that has the lovely hump bit. There's your departures coming out to that signal. A Street, that is the diamond at A Street. There's the NS. So the orange, the brighter orange is the NS. The brown here is the Queensgate Yard. I'm gonna leave Sharon Yard and the other stuff is yards, but I wanted to wanted it so that you could tell what yard is what. So the brown over here at Queensgate is Queensgate Yard limits. That is the Queensgate ramp for the CSX or whatever. Oh, I forgot to change that color. Oopsie. But yeah, so there's the West Valley I mentioned, the East Valley. So that's Hopple Street. And then that's the A Street connection. So then you got 2NS, which is behind me. That's the thing that goes off at Tower A. So the pig yard, the intermodal ramp for NS is right in here. And that comes in right at that yellow. So there you go, the more orange. So that's the actual intermodal ramp. And that's coming from CSX down through A Street and over the river. Let's see. Okay, and then these, so basically the train's coming through B&O Junction. That's going to Yard 2. So under and it skips. So that's Yard 2. And that's going underneath. So this is going underneath that. It's a little confusing. There's you got your A Street and all that. Yay, lovely. It's gonna definitely take some getting used to. It'll be all fun because everyone's gonna finally get used to all this, and then all of that's gonna, well, most of it's the same, but it's gonna change eventually. Not anytime soon. It might even be, well, at least it's planned to change at some point. It's just gonna take forever. I'd like to get scenery on the south end before we go and changing anything. Let's see if I can find a teleport. Okay, teleport back to where my train is. So yay, I'm back at my train here. So hopefully this guide that's 30 minutes long was, I wanted it to be quick, but I also wanted to give as much information as possible, and I didn't plan it. But hopefully it was informative. Again, you can play this game however you want. I mean, I see plenty of YouTube videos where people pretend this is Waycross or something like that. Or like somewhere in North Carolina. I mean, it's more fun to play with stuff that you know. I mean, that's why I make this, is because I know Cincinnati, so I made Cincinnati, because that's what I know. And enjoy. So hopefully you've learned a thing or two about the yards. And I shall end this video. Goodbye.